Give me your thoughts on this fifth video, which I think is the most legally damning and the most disturbing visually to watch as well.
I think so too. This is the fifth video that had been released, and you're right. I don't know how they can get worse, but it almost seems that the cumulative effect is worse, particularly when you're talking about what clearly seems to me, at least, to be violating federal law, which says you cannot sell baby body parts. Simple as that.
Right.
And when they start talking about the bottom line or additional revenue and so forth, or maintaining intact specimens, as they call it, that's about as bad as it gets. And while I don't want to prejudge, it seems to me that it may well be that criminal laws have been violated. We have, I think, 3 committees now in Congress investigating, and they'll be able to, I think, uncover even more evidence, and then we'll be able to know whether to go forward with the criminal prosecution or not.
Now, last week we spoke with Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn, and she was telling us her legislative efforts, where she has over 130 congressional members now signed on to this. You have joined, along with Representative Blackburn's bill. You're calling for an immediate Department of Justice investigation into Planned Parenthood and hoping that they freeze this funding to Planned Parenthood, at least while the investigation is being carried out. Do you think that we're going to have more success in the House than we've seen in the Senate?
I think probably so. By the way, I did sign that letter along with many others, as you said. The House is a little bit quicker to act. We also are able to have hearings when we want to have hearings, and when it comes to votes, we don't have to break that 60-vote threshold that you need in the Senate just to bring up a simple amendment or even to vote to go forward to begin the debate. In the House, it's a majority. We can act quickly. We can amend, appropriation bills. We can pass standalone legislation. We will vote in September, I believe, to defund Planned Parenthood. As you just mentioned, and I was listening, there are ways to direct funds to legitimate women's health care, but abortion should not be among them when it comes to federal funding.
Exactly, and this federal funding, really, I mean, we were just discussing a minute ago, community health centers, for instance, which actually offer mammograms and things that they don't outsource it like Planned Parenthood does, and they don't receive, anywhere comparable to what Planned Parenthood receives in federal funding. I know Joni Ernst is on record as saying we need to redirect this money. That could also possibly be an alternative, so that individuals out there could see, no, Congress isn't shutting down women's health care or funding for it.
Yeah, no, I think that is exactly the right way to go. And frankly, otherwise we're going to be criticized for being against women's health care, and we're not necessarily against all women's health care. It's just the abortion side of things. So I do think that gives us something to be for. It'll be a positive message. We hear so often from the other side that Republicans are conducting a war on women, and we really need to refute that actively, consistently, and forcefully. And I think being for the right kinds of health care will allow us to do that.
Right. I know that you and Mitch McConnell are on record as having vetoed or having voted in 1993 to legalize the fetal tissue donations after abortions, which is what Planned Parenthood is citing as to, they're trying to say, well, we're operating under the law because of this legislation that was voted on. How do you reconcile that with the calls for investigation?
A totally different subject. The Planned Parenthood folks are trying to really change the issue or change the subject. Nothing in that bill allowed, and it couldn't have allowed for the selling of baby body parts, and that is illegal. I've consistently been opposed to that all along, and so it's just really an effort by Planned Parenthood to try to, I think, take the focus off of them. We need to make sure the focus stays on them.
Right. But it did allow for the donation of fetal tissue. Was it from abortion, or was it just from natural circumstances, miscarriages? I mean, was there the details of that law?
I honestly don't recall. A lot of Republicans voted for it, as I recall. I don't remember the details, but clearly it was not what we're talking about, and it is not what Planned Parenthood clinics are doing today. That's the main point.